Chapter 2. Harbinger. 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 A person or thing that announces or signals the approach of another. Middle English, from the Old French, herberger, via Old Saxon, herberga, a shelter for an army, lodging, i.e., the person who traveled ahead to find lodging for an army. He crashes to the earth in a surge of dust and shattered stone, appearing out of the darkness with a thunder crack of impact and a burst of chakra like a detonation. Half an instant of light is his only warning, and Kurama throws up his own chakra automatically, cushioning his fall as much as possible. It still burns, hurts like skin scraped raw as he hits the snowy ground hard enough to leave a crater behind. For a long moment, the only sound is the gentle rain of stone clattering down around him, and the slow, groaning creak of a tree overbalancing and then falling with a crash. Kurama stays where he is for another moment, shocked by the sudden reassertion of reality, and then slowly pushes himself up. He's shaking, he realizes distantly, trembling, puny human form shivering with what he distractedly thinks might be shock. He can't pay attention to that, though, because the only thing before his eyes is crimson spilling over green, a head of blonde hair bouncing carelessly against the dirt as Kaguya just dropped Naruto. Dropped him like garbage, like trash. Maybe his shaking isn't all shock, actually. Kurama takes a breath, then lets it out, and it gusts in a cloud of white around him. It's only then that he recognizes the cold for what it is. Sharp, far sharper than he's ever felt before, especially against the wetness on his chest. He presses one hand over it and feels a twinge, but doesn't look down, already knowing what he'll see. Blood. Blood on an orange shirt. A cluster of small holes stabbed through the fabric. Because this is Naruto's body, Naruto's form, and human minds can't handle the strain, Naruto had said. His skull had bounced off hard-packed earth with a sound like a ripe fruit carelessly dropped. Bounced once before Kurama had lost his senses to the darkness. But he knows there wasn't enough chakra left for Naruto to let him manifest. Not a scrap to spare. So Naruto had locked Kurama into his own body and used that as a vessel, propelling them back in time even as he died. If there was any chance of him surviving the wounds Kaguya inflicted, he spent it all to send Kurama here. Grief tears at Kurama's chest, aches like an open wound. He presses one clawed, earth-brown hand over it, rakes his nails over smooth skin instead of fur, and snarls. It sits wrong in his throat, not nearly deep enough without the edge of power he should be able to give it. It's a human sound, for all that he can still feel every inch of a Bijuu's chakra wrapped up inside of him. "Damn you," he whispers, tipping forward. His hands strike torn earth, and long nails dig furrows there as he tries to wrestle himself back under control. Another flash of that smile, that last laugh ringing in his ears, and he screams again, anguished and furious. His breath clouds white, like smoke, like ash. Like the ash that will be all that's left when Kurama finishes grinding Kaguya into nothingness for what she did. He bows his head, hair falling around his face. Red as blood instead of the blonde he hoped to see. Not even that much of Naruto left to him. And he snarls again, slamming a fist into the ground because he can't drive it into Naruto's damned self-sacrificing face. "Damn you!" he shouts, and it echoes eerily over the snow-covered mountaintop, ringing with grief. Damn you! Not like this! Any way but this. Kurama alone, lost, decades out of time, without anyone to rely on, trapped in the body of the human he loved above all others, with a promise to save everyone on his shoulders, and a goddess stretching out her mad, grasping hands, ready to devour the world. Kurama is the most powerful of the Bijuu, ancient and aged and impossibly strong. But he can't be any more than that. He's never been a hero, no matter what Naruto might have wanted to think. Never a hero, never good without Naruto to push him forward, urge him on. And he's already fought for years at Naruto's side, helped him and saved lives and protected as many as he possibly could. But it was because of Naruto. A sudden thought, and it sends threads of horror twisting down Kurama's spine. What if Naruto isn't even alive yet? What if he's so far back that Naruto hasn't been born, and he'll have to spend years, maybe even decades, waiting for that spark of light to come into being, waiting for his first friend to be anything close to what he once was? What if Naruto is never what he once was? What if changing Naruto so completely is the only way to save him? Kurama isn't a fool. People are shaped by their experiences, by every little thing in their pasts. The Naruto who grew up with parents and friends, the son of the Yondaime Hokage, would be nothing like the Naruto Kurama knew. Change one event, and that Naruto ceases to exist. It's entirely selfish, but Kurama doesn't want that to happen. He wants his Naruto, the boy with the bright blue eyes, who laughs in the face of death, who never gives up and never gives in, and will do anything for those he loves. Any other version of Naruto will be different, wrong, and Kurama thinks that he'll hate that person, that pretender, because his version was the greatest possible, and there's no other that can match him. The anger is a simmer now, locked away and buried. He breathes out, long and slow, and then gets his feet under himself and rises carefully. Being bipedal is something familiar, but the balance is different now. Off. He has to stand upright instead of bent forward, and his range of sight is strange, narrowed. The cold wind raises goosebumps on his skin and prickles over his cheeks, making him uncomfortable when before he wouldn't have even noticed. And he wraps his arms around himself for the bare bit of warmth it provides. The bloodstains on his shirt, on Naruto's shirt, are already freezing, but he tries not to think about it. Physically, he thinks he hasn't moved far from where he was in the future. This is still Earth Country, in the mountains near the border. At the edge of his range of vision, if he squints through the snow that's starting to fall, he can make out the looming shape of the peak where Sakura was attacked. But that was the height of summer, with all the snow melted, and this feels like true winter, fierce and biting. There's no use calling out, because no one will answer. They chose this place to hide because it was always empty. Not even the Iwanin like to come here, if Kurama really has traveled far enough back that Iwagakure exists once more. Instead, he scales the edge of the crater, pauses to get his bearings, and then heads southeast. 3 steps in, and a flare of familiar chakra halts him in his tracks. Kurama whips around towards the west, eyes scanning the sheer drop-off a few yards ahead of him, and then dropping to study the forest of rocky outcroppings below. A moment, and then it comes again, superheated chakra melting the surrounding snow in a surge of vapor before the steam is whirled away by the wind. The flood of renewed rage takes Kurama by surprise. Corrosive red chakra flares. He's moving before the decision is even consciously reached, clawed feet digging into snow as he leaps forward in 5 long bounds, launching himself over the edge of the mountain and skidding down the side. The cold burns his bare skin, but Kurama's thoughts are filled with bloody red fury, and he dodges stands of snowy pines without pause, heading for where terror and power are mingling. The air is already getting warmer, and under his feet the snow shifts to slush, then bare earth. One final leap and Kurama alights on an outcropping of boulders, as warm as if they've been baking in the sun, and looks down. Between the close-set arms of the mountain, a man in red and black armor is facing down a man in a familiar black cloak decorated with clouds. Kokuo's chakra is roiling, angry and frightened even as his Jinchuriki channels it into creating more steam. But Kurama barely pauses to notice his fellow Bijou. Lips pulling back from blunted human teeth, he snarls fiercely and leaps from his perch, landing squarely between the Akatsuki member and the Iwa shinobi. One glance and he remembers the man, remembers that he nearly killed Naruto once before. And Kurama growls, "Kakuzu." Pupilless green eyes flicker over him, then away, dismissive and bored. "I don't know you, so you've got no bounty," the man says indifferently. "Get lost, I'm busy." Kurama laughs, rough enough that it tears at his throat, hurts, but he ignores the stinging ache. "Where's your partner?" he jeers, and sees Kokuo's Jinchuriki twitch nervously. "Hiding in the bushes? You Akatsuki dogs wouldn't know how to fight honorably if your lives depended on it, would you?" That gets him another glance, sharper this time, and Kakuzu shifts his attention fully to Kurama. His eyes narrow warily, and he demands, "How do you know that name?" Giving the man a smirk that's more malice than anything, Kurama takes a step closer, then starts circling, and is vindictively satisfied when Kakuzu turns to follow him, ignoring Kokuo. "What, Akatsuki? How about Pain? Or Nagato? Maybe you'd be interested in how I know it's Uchiha Madara pulling your strings. I bet you didn't know that." Judging by the faint widening of those wary eyes, Kakuzu didn't. Well, Kurama hardly plans to let him escape, and make use of that knowledge. His heart is thudding in his ears, making it hard to think beyond getting his claws into Kakuzu, and just tearing. But it's enough to know that no matter how immortal Akatsuki's treasurer is, he won't be leaving this place alive. Kakuzu might be good at planning, good at tricking his opponents, might use his age to his advantage, but Kurama is older still and angry. One of Kaguya's puppets is standing in front of him, and if he can't take his revenge on the goddess right now, her pawn will at least make for a convenient distraction. "Where's your partner?" he asks again. "I might as well leave my little brother to deal with him while I put you down like the mad dog you are." Kakuzu shifts, settling into a stance Kurama saw through Naruto's eyes a long time ago. "Dead," he says carelessly. "The fool gambled away 3 of my bounties, so I killed him." Not Hidan, then. That's a decent mark for judging how far in the past he is. And Kurama lets his smirk deepen a little. "Well then, I guess there's no helping it. Kakuo will just have to sit this one out." 2 confused looks for that, but the chakra around the Jinchuriki flickers, and Kurama lets his own unfurl in answer, rising like a tide around him. It burns in the gray darkness like a shroud of red, and Kurama laughs cruelly when Kakuzu takes a quick step back. "I could," he says lazily, circling Kakuzu like the bounty hunter is prey. "Just kill you once, really thoroughly, and be done with it. But I think that sounds boring, don't you?" He shouldn't play with his food. Naruto's chided him more than once for talking too much when he gets his enemy's attention on him. And, pots and kettles there. But Kurama doesn't care. He's a fox, first and foremost. If he wants to toy with an opponent before he kills them, he's cat-like enough to justify it. Foxes are closer to feline than canine, after all, even if they're far superior to both. Still, it seems Kakuzu's patience, at least, is at its end. He twists his fingers into the snake seal, making his skin darken and harden, and then moves forward in a fast lunge. Kurama digs his toes into the bare earth and dodges, sliding under the first strike and coming up with a hard kick. Usually he'd use a tail, slam the bounty hunter into the side of the mountain, and then roast him. But this form is weaker. His claws scrape but don't penetrate, and his kick barely slows Kakuzu down. With a curse, Kurama leaps back, then up, flipping over in midair and coming down on Kakuzu's back. He rakes his fingers across the man's cloak, tearing the fabric, and grabs for a mask, only to have Kakuzu hurl him off with a furious cry. Kurama's laughing again when he disentangles himself from the cedar he'd landed in, and drops to the ground. "Touchy, touchy," he mocks, and the rage is a bright-edged, knife-sharp bubble in his gut. "What, I'm not allowed to play with those?" Kakuzu growls, then steps back. He shrugs off his tattered cloak and turns, and Kurama watches with barely contained anticipation as the four masks rip themselves free of his body. He drops into a crouch, scraping his claws over stone, and lets his chakra build. It's probably stupid, throwing himself headlong at Kakuzu like this, but Naruto is dead, and Kurama feels like he'll never care about anything again. The masks move toward him, somewhere between a lumber and a stalk, and Kurama tenses, evaluating his options. The fire and wind masks are the most dangerous, since they can attack together, so he needs to take one of them out first. Or, well, both would work. With a low, rumbling laugh, Kurama throws himself forward, right at the wind mask. The creature falters, thin wings flaring, but before it can do so much as start its attack, Kurama lashes out with one clawed hand. From this close, the shockwave is devastating, tearing through the construct as if it's made of rice paper, and Kurama leaps right through the shards as they fall, aiming for Kakuzu. With a curse, the bounty hunter darts back, even as the thick gray threads of his earth grudge fear slide out of his body and stab forward. "It's only fitting that I take your heart to replace the one you've destroyed," he snarls. "Die!" "Ha!" Kurama slips to the side, then whirls before Kakuzu can catch him, and breathes out a gout of flame. The threads twitch away, and Kurama uses the opening to go low, rolling underneath them and coming up with his claws bared, aiming for a gut wound. His nails catch on stony skin and scrape without leaving a mark. Kurama growls, even as Kakuzu strikes at his throat, and slides around the blow. With this little warning, summoning another shockwave is difficult, but he tries regardless, swiping downward right as Kakuzu turns to face him. It's comparatively weak, and Kakuzu manages to bring his threads up in time to block, but it still hurtles him back into the stone outcropping with a cry that's mixed anger and pain. A sudden shriek of steam exploding makes Kurama spin, distracted, and he has to duck as the shards of the fire mask go flying. Kokuo's Jinchuriki doesn't look at him, but keeps moving, whirling towards the lightning mask with another steam-enhanced kick. Kurama snorts at the showy move, but mirrors the Jinchuriki and aims for the earth mask. This time he has enough warning to summon the precise ratios of positive black chakra and negative white chakra, and set it spinning in his hand. It's easy. So easy. How many times has he seen and felt Naruto do this over the years? How many times did they combine attacks? Rasengan and Bijudama tearing through enemy ranks. How painful it is to think that it will never happen again. The Bijudama detonates the moment it strikes, and even without the size it would have been in Kurama's old form, it's still enough to tear straight through the earth mask and then to continue on, clipping Kakuzu before he can fully avoid it, and tearing through the trees and stone behind him. The bounty hunter curses, then lashes out, and Kurama doesn't even try to dodge. He slashes down again, nothing more than claws this time, and Kurama laughs as they cut through the strange, rubbery flesh of Kakuzu's reaching threads. No more Earth Spear to harden his skin. Kakuzu can use it without the Earth Mask, but hardly enough to count. Hardly at all when he's facing a Bijou and a determined Jinchuriki. The smell of ozone is his only warning. It sears and burns and hurts, and Kurama screams, tumbling to the side. He lands hard on his front, shoulder one hot, bright mass of pain, and hears the Jinchuriki call out, but can't answer. There's another cry, the sound of the lightning mask shattering, and then the man advancing on Kakuzu. But Kurama can't focus on anything but the pain. It's already fading, starting to heal, but he can't remember ever feeling pain like that before. Not through Naruto, not on his own. It's only very, very rarely that something has managed to hurt him, and the sheer unexpectedness of the pain is almost as staggering as the hurt itself. Even as the skin knits itself back up beneath his fingers, the raw ache easing, Kurama slumps forward. It was a glancing blow. The mask's false darkness just managed to clip him, not strike him fully. But Kurama has a new respect for Naruto, taking Sasuke's Chidori through the heart and surviving. Weighted footsteps, heavy and loud, make him look up. The armored man is approaching, steam fading from the device on his back, and he crouches down beside Kurama. "He got away. Are you all right?" he asks carefully. "Fine." Kurama huffs, dropping his hand to show the new, unmarred skin as he sinks back on his heels. It would be best to go after Kakuzu now, before he can get any hearts to replace those they destroyed. But Kurama can sense the bounty hunter moving rapidly towards the east, already at the edge of his range and about to disappear. Between that and the faint tremors of singed nerves, Kurama doubts he'll be able to catch the man before he can vanish. "Damn it!" he thinks, claws slicing through the fabric of his pants as he curls his hands into fists. Damn it all to hell! That was my chance! A lost chance now. And worse yet, Akatsuki will know that someone has learned their secrets. Kurama wants to think that Kakuzu won't tell them, but that's stupidly optimistic. Far more likely he'll keep a few bits of information to himself, but tell them the rest. And that means they'll be prepared for someone hunting them. Fuck. He shouldn't have jumped into the fight. It was stupid and reckless and dumb and... Naruto would have done it. To save Kokuo. Naruto would have sacrificed the advantage of surprise in a heartbeat and not mourn the loss. Here and now, Kurama supposes he can't do any less. With a sigh, he rakes one hand through his hair, pushing it out of his face, and then rolls his eyes. "Tell your Bijou to stop thrashing," he orders sharply. "He's gonna give me a headache." The man stiffens, but doesn't flinch away despite the wary look he gives Kurama. "You know a lot of things you shouldn't," he allows after a moment. "Who are you?" Kurama's never actually given his name to anyone but Naruto. He hesitates for a long moment, debating it, and then gives in with a soft sigh. Humans share their names freely. He's human now, at least in appearances, so he might as well get used to the custom. "Kurama," he answers, and then snorts as Kokuo shifts in agitation. Yeah, you dolphin-headed freak, it's me. Stop thrashing like a landed carp. It's unbecoming of a Bijou." The Jinchuriki is eyeing him like he's the freak in this equation. "You're familiar with the Gobi, then?" Kurama shrugs, carefully looking away. He wipes his bloody hand on a patch of grass, then shoves his hair out of his face again with a flicker of annoyance, and answers, "We've met. Who are you?" There's a pause as the Jinchuriki apparently processes this, and then he inclines his head. I'm Han, formerly of Iwagakure. Thank you for your help. I'm not sure I could have survived him alone. Kurama pauses, reluctantly looking up at the tall man, and then sighs. He closes his eyes and rubs at his brow in irritation, because it's complete madness, sheer stupidity, but he keeps looking up into pale brown eyes and resenting them for not being blue. Resenting Han's polite, careful speech, because it's not a cheerful and exuberant flood, interspersed with a bright, "Believe it!" This isn't his Jinchuriki, could never be, and petty as it is, he's more than willing to hate the man for it. Naruto's loss hurts more sharply than his physical wound, and Kurama already knows it won't heal half as easily. Judging by the way it hurts right now, it might never heal at all. Akatsuki led to my best friend's death, he says, and the words feel raw in his throat, burn like acid on his tongue as he speaks them. If you know any of the other Jinchuriki, pass the word on. They're being hunted. The bastards won't stop until they've captured every last Jinchuriki and ripped the Biju right out of them. Han stills, studying Kurama for a moment, and then nods. I'll tell Roshi, he offers quietly. I believe he's met several of the others, so he can let them know. Thank you, Kurama. It's not like we managed to kill the bastard anyway, Kurama dismisses, rising to his feet. Several nerves spasm painfully, making his arm jerk as he grits his teeth, but the feeling subsides a moment later. You'd have figured it out without me. Except, he wouldn't have. Kokuo was one of the first Biju captured, if not the first. In intervening when he did, it's likely Kurama has already changed history, changed the past. It's too distant, too small a change to have affected Naruto already, but suddenly the only thought in Kurama's head is to go and find the boy and see for himself, to make sure. He won't let his Naruto be destroyed, not by his own actions and not by anyone else's. He'll die first and burn the world down with him. Decided, Kurama straightens. Konoha is several days' travel southeast, so he might as well start now. Good luck, he says, offering Han and Kokuo a careless wave as he turns towards the forest of stone spires. Wait, Han calls. When Kurama looks back at him with an impatient frown, the man is drawing out a sealing scroll. An extra uniform, he explains, catching Kurama's slightly wary glance. I carry spares, and you don't seem to have any supplies. It's a long walk to anywhere like that. Kurama gives the man's armor a skeptical glance. Thanks, but I'm not a fan of clanking when I walk, he says dryly. Han blinks at him for a moment, clearly startled. Then chuckles. Oh, no, he offers reassuringly, unsealing a small pack and flipping the top open. A moment later, he tosses a few folded pieces of cloth to Kurama, who catches them automatically. Take them with my thanks, he murmurs. Pride makes Kurama want to argue. The chill of the wind and the sting of the snow under his bare feet convinces him otherwise. Thanks, he says gruffly, tucking them under his arms. Don't get caught. Han inclines his head, formally. Your little brother will be safe, he promises, the words clearly leaving a strange taste in his mouth. And Kurama laughs roughly. He better, he says, then turns away again. And Kokuo, if there's anything redeemable about him, don't let it go to waste. A good Jinchuriki's hard to find and hard to keep. Without waiting for a response, he takes 3 long, bounding steps and leaps up, alighting on the branch of a pine. It quivers and shakes, not as sturdy as the Fire Country trees Kurama, through Naruto, is used to. But he keeps his balance on the swaying bough long enough to leap to the next, and then the one beyond that. In moments, he's moving southward quickly, aiming for the closest break in the stone forest. Going to Konoha is stupid, especially when he should be chasing Kakuzu. It's Naruto levels of stupid, shoving blindly through all logic and reason just because someone precious is far away, just because they might be in need of him. But Kurama couldn't care any less if he tried. All he wants is his Jinchuriki back, his best friend returned to him. And if he can't have that, then he just wants to see Naruto, to prove to himself that the boy is alive, existing. The blood on his shirt is frozen, cold against his skin. Even so, Kurama presses his hand over it. This macabre reminder of Naruto's last sacrifice, and forces his numbed limbs to move faster. All he wants is Naruto, and Kaguya herself isn't going to stop him from getting to the boy.
「